Welcome back to MKE Gadgets. Before we get going in today's video, please support me by subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So this is a digital scale, and I got 2 of them free off of Craigslist. There was a music center that was going out of business. The owner was retiring, and he had everything in the store was for free. So guys were lining up with pickup trucks and taking anything they wanted. I got a couple smaller items, and it was pretty picked over by the time I got there. And I saw these 2 digital scales on the floor, no power supply, and no readout, and no one wanted them. And I thought, well, I'll take them because at least I get a piece of stainless steel out of the deal. So today we're going to take it apart, see what we can salvage, and see what can be reused, and everything else will go to the scrapyard. So one of the things I really like to do is take stuff apart and see how they work. I don't know how a digital scale works. I don't know what's inside. But if you want to become more handy, take things apart and see how they work. It will also help you become a better builder. If you know how things are made, then you know how to make things for yourself. So the first thing I want to do is remove this top stainless steel pan. So the stainless steel pan is 18 by 18, 2 inches deep. And if I would stop right there and take everything in the scrapyard, this would be pretty successful. But I want to see what else is in here, and I really want to see how it's made. Now with this pan, I can use it for a drawer, I can use it for washing parts. I can put all my parts in here for projects and set it on the side. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I know I got 2 of them, and I know I'm going to like it. So this has a pretty stiff frame here. I'm going to flip it upside down. With it flipped upside down, I can remove these 4 feet. Any future project I need feet for, I now have 4. But I got 2 scales, so I'll have 8. So that'll come in quite handy. We got a couple of screws here on the bottom. I'll take off the socket cap screws first. Socket head cap screws, lock-in washers, and flat washers. This is a bolt here with a set screw in the middle. Must be for adjusting something. We'll take that off. This might be an adjusting screw. I say that because it has a point on it. 4 tiny Phillips screwdrivers. Those are pretty tiny, but we'll save them. And hopefully this comes apart here. It does, but there's a cable holding it. So I'm going to flip it around. I'll remove 4 more Allen screws. Four more bolts, lock washers, and flat washers. So this is the top half. It's a pretty heavy steel frame. This could make a nice tabletop or a table bottom. I'll set that on the side. I don't know how it managed to be so dusty inside, but let me vacuum this up, and then we'll come back and continue taking it apart. So off camera, I vacuumed this all up, and now we have a sheet metal pan. It has 2 Phillips head screws in there. This is a nice galvanized sheet metal tray. I don't know what I'll do with that, but it covered all the electronics. If I have any future projects where I need to cover electronics, this could come in handy. And it's galvanized, so it's not going to rust on you. And you got another, we got a screw right here. So some more screws and washers. And these are all metric. I don't have a very big metric collection, but this is gonna come in handy. 2 aluminum spacers. And now this big hunk of aluminum, I'm just gonna cut it. So this must be some kind of load cell. And it's drilled out in the center here. 4 holes are bolted to the bottom pan, and 4 holes are bolted to the top. Any deflection in here registers digitally. Let's take off this epoxy and see what that looks like. In here, it's kind of like rubber epoxy here, and there's something underneath here. So you can see little wires in there, and that measures the stress in there. And same thing on the bottom. Some more kind of load cell strain reliefs. We'll pop that off and see what's underneath there. So with this cover removed, the wires come in here and they go on both sides. So there's probably more load cells in here. These are all the connections. So you can see the wires then, some go to the bottom and some go to the top. So this hunk of aluminum's got to weigh a couple of pounds. With all the holes here, I'm not sure if I can make a part out of it, but this would be a nice fixture where I could clamp this into the vise and I could bolt parts on here and machine around it. This is a really nice find. This is almost as good as that stainless steel pan. Now we got to look at the circuit boards here, and it has some screws in here. I loosened a little bit. And some standoffs. And that's pretty loose. I'll just go in here and cut these wires if I can unplug them. Nice ground there. You can see these little brass standoffs that were used. And these were screwed down to the base. Those are nice and cute. I'll take all of them apart. Sometimes you gotta go from the top. Take those screws out. And now this should pop off. And I'm saving these standoffs. I got a feeling I can use them in a upcoming video. This has some kind of, looks like stainless steel cover. It's soldered on there, so let's take it off the opposite side. I'm not sure if that's soldered too. I guess they don't want you getting in there. So these 2 circuit boards I'll recycle. I have a bucket for aluminum, steel, electronics, electric motors. I'll take them to the scrapyard and get some value for them. Now all that's really left is taking all these screws off at the end here. This must have been where the power cord goes in, and these 2 cables here must have went to the digital readout. This here looks like some kind of plug. So we'll just take them all apart. This is some kind of switch in there. Maybe it's for English or metric. It was covered with that plate. So that was this little selector switch. So here's a little computer hookup. And that must be threaded into the frame. And that plug is for the power supply in. Now we just gotta get the on-off button out. And that probably comes forward. Push from behind and get out the on-off switch. Has 4 bolts in the corner. With 4 nice nuts. Those are pretty nice metric bolts. This part here will make a nice machine base. With these screw holes, you can put those leveling feet back in there and make it nice and flat. So you got 2 of these plates. And they're pretty heavy. I wish you had some way of weighing them. They might go to the scrapyard, or they might just hang out for a while and see if I can come up with a use for them. This hunk of aluminum, this must weigh a couple pounds. I'm going to save this galvanized box. This would be great enclosure or part of an enclosure for electrical system I'm planning on building. But this is what I really wanted, was a stainless steel pan. I got a bunch of leveling feet, socketed cap screws, nuts and bolts, all in metric. Bunch of brass standoffs, that will come in handy in the future. All this electrical stuff will just be recycled into my electrical bucket. And I'll take it to the scrapyard next time I go. One of the things I really enjoyed when I was a youth was taking things apart. And that's how I learned to fix a lot of things, because first you have to know how to take it apart. But I find this enjoyable, seeing how things work, seeing how things go together, plus salvaging a lot of parts I can use in the future. In future videos, I hope to show off what I did with all these things I'm going to repurpose. I hope you enjoyed today's video of taking apart a digital scale. Please subscribe if you haven't. And thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. Now, luckily, I don't have to put this all back together, and I knew that when I started this project.